Preface of Towards Democracy. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Sue Anderson. Towards Democracy by Edward Carpenter. By way of preface, a note on Towards Democracy, reprinted from the Labor Prophet, May 1894. Having sometimes been asked questions about Towards Democracy, which I found it difficult to answer, I will try and shape a few thoughts about it here. Quite a long time ago, say when I was about 25 and living at Cambridge, I wanted to write some sort of a book which should address itself very personally and closely to anyone who cared to read it. Establish, so to speak, an intimate personal relation between myself and the reader. And during succeeding years I made several attempts to realize this idea, of which beginnings, one or two in verse, may be found in a little volume entitled Narcissus and Other Poems, now well out of print, which I published in 1873. None of these attempts satisfied me, however, and after a time I began to think the quest was an unreasonable one. Unreasonable because while it might not be difficult for any one with a pliant and sympathetic disposition to touch certain chords in any given individual that he might meet, it seemed impossible to hope that a book, which cannot in any way adapt itself to the idiosyncrasies of its reader, could find the key of the personalities into whose hands it should happen to come. For this it would be necessary to suppose, and to find, an absolutely common ground to all individuals, all at any rate who might have reached a certain stage of thought and experience, and to write the book on and from that common ground. But this seemed at that time quite impracticable. Years followed, more or less eventful, with flight from Cambridge, and university lectures carried on in the provincial towns, and so forth, but of much dumbness as regards writing, and inwardly full of tension and suffering. At last, early in 1881, no doubt as the culmination and result of struggles and experiences that had been going on, I became conscious that a mass of material was forming within me, imperatively demanding expression, though what exactly its expression would be, I could not then have told. I became for the time overwhelmingly conscious of the disclosure within of a region transcending in some sense the ordinary bounds of personality, in the light of which region my own idiosyncrasies of character, defects, accomplishments, limitations, or what not, appeared of no importance whatever, an absolute freedom from mortality, accompanied by an indescribable calm and joy. I also immediately saw, or rather felt, that this region of self existing in me existed equally, though not always equally consciously, in others. In regard to it, the mere diversities of temperament which ordinarily distinguish and divide people dropped away and became indifferent, and a field was opened in which all might meet, in which all were truly equal. Thus I found the common ground which I wanted, and the two words freedom and equality came for the time being to control all my thought and expression. The necessity for space and time to work this out grew so strong that in April of that year I threw up my lecturing employment. Moreover, another necessity had come upon me which demanded the latter step, the necessity, namely, for an open-air life and manual work.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?